Ned News Network.
Yes, some spicy news this week.
Why is scum so scummy so often?
Well, why are CEOs shocking us still? I think is the real question.
So, after the WGA won and got their deal signed, we were told SAG-AFTRA would be going in for more negotiations the following week, and we should all be confident that they're probably going to be close to getting a deal done now.
Do you remember what I said I was worried might happen?
I don't remember the exact wordage.
But it was along the lines that I was worried they're going to try and lowball them now because the WGA got their strike and they're going to be like, try and pressure them to get back to work quick. Or make them wait longer. And it seems they have done such things.
Yes. So SAG-AFTRA have said this afternoon that studios are refusing to continue to negotiate and made an offer worth less than the one proposed before strikes began. And this deal also includes no protection from AI. Now, in slightly good news, the American government are looking at a bipartisan bill called the No Fakes Bill.
No Fakes Act.
No Fakes Act, which would basically make using AI without people's consent illegal.
Yeah, for actors and singers.
Yes.
And
now, it wouldn't stop people like Disney and that trying to pressure people into signing a waiver that allows them to use it.
Yep.
But it's definitely a step in the right direction. We still need the assurances so that SAG-AFTRA are happy, though.
Yes.
Unless SAG-AFTRA go out and go, this is good enough, it's not good enough. It's that simple. But the notion that the deal they were offering before the strike started, that they went, that deal is so poor, we're refusing to work, and they're now offering a worse one, is fucking outrageous. SAG-AFTRA have worked out it would cost on average.
Oh dear, we've lost Conor, everybody.
A year.
Oh no, he's back.
Oh,
you're back.
We're
it's
here.
Fine. Yeah,
it's
only brief. You said, what was it? I can't remember now.
I'll start from top.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA have said on average, per person who pays for a streaming service, it would cost 57 cents per subscription to meet their demands.
Which we know that is going to get shoved onto us if that ends up happening.
Yeah, they've already found a way to try and bleed more money out of us because of the WGA strike. Like, I am so sick of CEOs in general. There's not a single good one.
There is the odd good one, but they keep their heads down and they're not involved in any of this shit.
But yeah, they just need to.
It's wild to me that they're clearly going, oh, WGA got their deal, come on, get back to work. And it's like after no, that's cool. Yeah, they got their deal. Good on them. We also want now you've got to do us. And the studios are like, oh well, you can sit there then. And we'll just they're clearly gonna try and wait them out. Which takes me back to, we said, was it Seth Rogen did like the last big donation? We were like, oh, maybe Seth MacFarlane, sorry. And it was we were like, either he's done that because he knows there's a deal about to be had, or things really aren't looking good still. Clearly things weren't looking good and they knew that. All we can hope is that those big actors keep helping and supporting the smaller ones while this is happening, and that they don't just give in.
Yes. We've got to stay strong here. We've got to keep supporting SAG-AFTRA in their strike because, like we've said time and time again, the creatives are the ones who make the shows we love, not the CEOs.
Yep.
Talking of just dickhead decision makers.
Yep.
Disney deputies are reportedly urging Bob Iger to buy EA and try to become a gaming behemoth. Now, I tweeted about this when I saw this, and it was hyperbole. I'm aware of this, but essentially, it is the worst company buying the worst gaming company.
Yeah.
When you look at Disney's approach to everything over the last few years, is there anything they've done that makes you think they will not just turn EA into even more of a microtransaction hellscape than it already is? They're targeting EA because EA are already microtransaction hell.
Well, there's two reasons they're going for EA. And I will say, I think there's someone slightly worse than EA, which is Activision. Just because of Bobby Kotick, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, but EAFC
It's
games, FIFA
it's
games,
going
Madden games.
no, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think Activision's on the right path to maybe get better, but yeah, I think EA's been picked as what they want. Is one, it already makes their Star Wars games, so like,
Yeah.
oh well, we already use we already work with EA. Why don't we just buy them so we get all of the profit and we're not only getting a split of the profit? Is
Yeah.
my thought process. And then, like you say, microtransaction hell that is EA, doesn't surprise me that Disney would just be like, oh, let's monetize this even more. Yeah, it's. I don't think EA could get any worse though. Like it's already at the bottom. Can EA get worse?
Yeah, they make even less games and they somehow make them all worse.
My worry would be
How many people survive, like jobs wise, a merger? I feel like somewhere on average, I saw that after two companies merge, the company being absorbed tends to lay off like 40% of its staff in the first year.
there will be a big chunk that
Yeah. And
unfortunately lose
EA has
jobs.
always unfortunately been a bare bones company as it is.
I
Because every 2
my
or 3 years they go on a mass redundancy.
my biggest worry is EA already produces like FIFA and all them have their issues already. Those aren't going to change. I don't actually think they could get worse. They're already pretty bad, but I'm sure they could find ways. But I worry about games like Jedi Fallen Order and stuff, which have somehow, even produced by EA, have managed to keep hold of their like control enough that they've made good games. I worry that if Disney also then like EA is under Disney and they have more like control over how like they'll push the wrong things onto those studios.
How do we get them FIFA packs in Star Wars games?
Well, I mean, we saw what happened when they tried to do that in Battlefront, and
Yeah.
it did not go well for them. And I worry that Disney would not care and still try it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for someone who loves the Star Wars franchise, it would make me very sad if we lose the only good Star Wars game we've been getting because Disney take over EA.
Yeah.
Um,
But I don't see it happening for starters.
no,
If they're making such a stink about Microsoft buying Activision, I know EA
yeah,
is smaller than Activision, but I don't know how Disney would be allowed to be able to buy EA.
yeah, I think there would be a big stink kicked up there. And I
I
actually
think
think
so.
Bob Iger cares more about selling to Apple than he would buying EA.
Yeah. How much is EA
Buying
worth?
EA doesn't make him money. Selling Disney to Apple makes him money.
Okay, so EA is worth 35 billion.
Okay.
Activision was bought for 80, but they paid over the odds for it,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Well, yeah, because it's Blizzard Activision, isn't it?
What is their market cap? Where's the number gone?
I
Activision
don't
Blizzard
remember.
value. It's worth a lot,
Yeah.
but Microsoft is comparatively worth a lot more than Disney. No,
I would imagine so, but I could be wrong.
Microsoft's worth 2 trillion. Disney's worth, I want to say, like 80 billion.
Disney's net worth.
154.
Yeah.
is their market capitalization.
Yeah.
So, in reality, I don't know how Disney could even like safely get up 35 billion to buy EA.
Yeah, I think it's one of these things that's been thrown around because the execs in, or the ones on the board want to expand Disney into other fields. And they're like, oh, EA is the reputable, like that's a big name game studio thing. We should buy them. Gamers must like EA. They're a big part of the market. Probably
I
having no clue that everyone hates EA.
I understand as a notion diversifying what your company does to
Yeah.
protect it. I would argue making films, making TV, theme parks
Hmm.
that's worth 150 billion
Hmm.
is probably diversified enough.
Well, you know what it is. It's that they just want to feed the MCU thing and make more games. It's all just to try and feed. They want EA so they have, we can just make a game through EA. We can make this game that we can on this IP, and
$100.
we have control to just do that.
But
Yeah.
it's not something I'd like to see happen. That's for damn sure.
No.
Um, again, Disney in the mud, in the mud. More TV shows are a mess, is what we're
Really?
told.
I have never
We're,
noticed.
by the sounds of it, there has been a fuck ton of infighting.
Hmm.
So let me get up these tweets because there's a lot to it.
There is.
So, Marvel Studios plans to make changes on how it's going to make its TV following internal criticism.
Hmm.
The two that were initially touted were shows will now have proper showrunners that write pilots and show bibles,
Hmm.
and they will have a focus on multi-season serialized TV rather than limited series.
Hmm.
What they didn't say while they were talking about how they were going to make a change to make fans happy is that them changes and a lot of other changes are a result of the new deal they signed with the WGA and not their own brilliant idea.
Yep.
But the criticism internally of Marvel's TV was a lack of central vision, not giving writers creative oversight in post.
Which is wild.
There was a fix it in post attitude, which
Also,
explains some of the janky CGI.
also explains a lot with the shows.
Film executives were running the shows, and these shows that were getting 150 million plus dollars a season weren't shooting pilots.
Well, that's no surprise.
They were just given 150 million dollars and just left to do the show.
Well,
What the fuck?
the thing is, that's not that much of a surprise when you look at the fact that they had film execs running shit. So it's like these film execs, they'll have just gone, basically go make an MCU film, but just split it into 6 chunks.
Yeah,
Hence, one explains the pacing issues. The fix it in post,
100%.
the fix it in post explains the pacing issues if they're not willing to reshoot and do stuff and change it as they're going, and they're just like, fix it in post. Like you can only do so much.
Yeah,
These it makes sense that they've just given these budgets because they're treating it like a film that they're just chopping up. And like you say, these changes of putting out like the writers in the right places and stuff is because of the WGA stuff. The lack of central vision, I think, is something we've talked about a few times. Of we
yeah,
were worried with like Blade having issues and stuff. Is like it made sense that Kevin needed to split control. Like he could no longer be in charge of everything. But it seems like more and more they haven't had a structure where essentially everything comes back to Kevin. I think there still needs to be like when Kevin was in charge of everything, there was an MCU style, there was an MCU vision, everything connected in a good way. They had it figured out. They wanted it to make it bigger. Sure, Kevin can't do all that, but have a structure where you have a head of TV who goes to Kevin, almost like you have Dave goes to George Lucas with Star Wars. To this day, if Dave's doing anything with the Ahsoka shows and whatever, he goes to George Lucas and just chats with him. You just need that level, and maybe they would have been better, but clearly they didn't have any of that.
Yeah, 100%. And they why are we not shooting pilots? How do you know if something is going to be good for a TV show if you're not shooting a pilot? For the love of God, people, that is
Well,
the one thing that traditional TV has got right for a number of years. They go, okay, we want this kind of a show. If you are a writer, send us a pilot. Then
well,
they
that's the
choose their
thing.
ones, they give them money to make the pilot, and then they go, and then we'll see which one we like.
That's where like I think Marvel's been doing it so wrong. Is just, they clearly have gone, oh, we want to expand the MCU into TV, but what like Loki, what 10 years ago would have just been a film. They're like, ah, we'll make it as if it's a film and just split it into 6 chunks. Um, it'll work. There's just this attitude of like, oh, we've made all these MCU films, like it's just chop it up, and that's episodes, and that's how you do a TV show. Like,
The
no,
the
that's not
way
how
the
it
way
works.
it's worked as well with the inflated budgets
Mm,
explains the pacing issue so much, because they were definitely shooting this on a film budget, and then they've got to the 6 hour mark worth of film, and they're like, shit, we don't have any money left, and we're only like 3/4 of the way through the story. Let's quickly close this.
I think it's also like they've probably spent so much of the budget on post. If they're constantly, oh, fix it in post, that's all costs. So these budgets like are probably so
Yeah,
inflated because they know they leave so much to fix in post.
yeah.
And
Um,
like, yeah.
and also, as a result of these changes to Marvel's attitude toward shows,
Hmm.
Daredevil Born Again is probably going to be delayed. They've not announced a delay yet, but it's coming.
Oh yeah.
It's undergoing some big changes. So Marvel found that Daredevil Born Again wasn't working because it was more of a legal procedural and did not resemble that of Netflix version's action and violence. Cox wouldn't have appeared in costume until episode 4.
I have two things to say on this, right? Obviously, everyone's gut reaction is like, that's ridiculous. And then I saw some people going, oh, yeah, but that's pretty similar to the Netflix one. Like, he wasn't in the suit, like, straight away. And I'm like, yeah, you make a good point. Netflix was very legal in the beginning. And, like, then we got him in the suit and it ramped up. Uh, Netflix wasn't only 6 episodes long. Obviously, I know the MC
Uh,
one was going to be
well,
12, was it? Or 16?
Born Again was due to be 18 episodes
Oh,
long,
okay, they were going to do 18.
but also Netflix's ones were eight and eight, maybe. But also the big thing is he wasn't in the proper Daredevil suit straight away, but he
He
was
was
in
doing,
his like temporary suit.
yeah, I think it's wild that
It's
they weren't going to put him, like, considering that would be fine if it was new character and you're setting him up.
yeah, 3.5 hours potentially of show before we see him suit up once.
And considering
What?
we've seen him in his suit in
And
She Hulk.
She-Hulk, yeah.
So it's like, you're not like setting anything up. Like, we know what's coming. Like, why are
Oh,
we not?
it gets better. Apparently, Foggy and Karen were going
Yeah.
to be announced to have been killed off screen.
Oh, that's what they were going to do.
They were going to just have them been killed off screen.
Could at least say they just got snapped or something. Like,
Yeah. So Marvel has fired the writers and directors of Daredevil Born Again, and the series is now undergoing a significant creative reboot.
why do I feel similar to what happened probably with Blade? Kevin's obviously had to like relook all the TV stuff. Obviously, these new rules are coming, so he's like one of his main writers or something. He's like, right, go read. Like, you've got to now go. Like, legally, we have to have go look at Daredevil. And he's come back and gone, I don't know what the fuck they've written, but it's shit. And Kevin's gone, oh, for fuck's sake, looked it over. Okay, right? You're all gone. We're starting afresh. Same way he did with Blade, essentially. Like, I think unfortunately, the MCU grew, like they tried to expand so quick that there wasn't the correct people put in the correct positions of creative control, and now it's biting them in the ass.
I am once again calling for me and you to be the common sense people in these rooms.
Just be
Like,
sat in the back of these meetings and then just go, I'm just going to interject. You
yeah.
realize that's a dumb idea.
So we've decided that we don't want to have Karen and Foggy, and more so we're going to kill them off screen so that no one can use them at all. And then you just have us going, "You fucking what? When?"
And then just be like, you could like do this many other ways that would make more sense. You had a snap event happen.
You
Maybe
could
use
have
that.
easily written them out by just going, "Oh, after the blip, Matt became really, really Daredevil focused, and they couldn't stand to watch him slowly kill himself from his crime fighting, so they had to walk away." Like we almost saw them do in
Mhm.
Daredevil on Netflix a number of times. And then at any point, if you want to, you can write them back in.
Yeah.
It's mind
I will
boggling.
say there's now a little bit of hope in me that they do come back.
I think they will. I don't know why anyone would get rid of them. They're two very, very solid, well-rounded side characters that add a lot. The more crazy thing is to me is they were like, "Oh, we're not going to have Karen and Foggy, but we're also going to make it all about lore, and we're not going to have Daredevil into episode 4." What the fuck were them first 3 episodes going to be? Was it just going to be Matt reading Braille
Do you
court
know?
briefs?
No, do you know what I think it was going to be a situation? It was essentially going to be She-Hulk's like, but not soup court. It's just going to be Matt in court, and I genuinely think they were just going to use a similar model they did for She-Hulk, because She-Hulk didn't suit up straight away, did she?
No, she didn't. Just
So
redo She-Hulk, but as Daredevil, and watch everyone
in
eat
a
it up like
different,
the
it's
greatest
just
thing
like in
ever.
a different city. He's just doing your everyday person legal stuff, and it's like maybe they thought that was going to work. I don't know.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
At least they're starting afresh. Hopefully they get it right
yes.
this time.
Are you on something that actually fills me with a little bit of hope, even though I understand why some people are against it?
Go on.
A24
Hmm.
are looking to subsidize their losses from their traditional projects
Hmm.
by making content from big IPs and like action blockbusters and stuff. So the way A24 have always worked is they make award-winning films,
Hmm.
but they tend not to make a lot of money, if any money.
Yeah, they're sort of the golden indie dev, like indie film,
Yeah.
like peak indie films go through them
And don't get me
usually.
wrong, in the grand scheme of the real world, they do okay.
Yeah.
But for a film studio, they are not in what they would describe a sustainable model.
No.
I would be so down for the next Boys Invincible, which are like these off the beaten track projects in the superhero world,
Hmm.
to go to A24 instead and let A24 have a crack at it.
So yeah,
I'd be in down.
I think A24, like they've slowly been built, like making a name for themselves, and their reputation is like on the up. That I think they could use that, and it's clearly the way that they do films, I think could be good for cinema with like the big IPs, and we
100%.
might like actually get decent films in the under these IPs that aren't just like the same regurgitated film that the big studios are
Yeah.
making.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
It's
good
it.
news.
I I I understand why people are a little bit scared because A24 have kind of been for a lot of people who love films but don't like blockbusters,
Hmm.
like their safe haven. It's like I can rely on these guys and have a studio I know make films I like,
I think
and I don't have to worry about them doing anything else. And now people might. feel a little bit
I think
like
people are reading this and worrying that they're only going to make these big IP films, which they're clearly not. They'll keep doing these
I
other.
would imagine it's going to be like 1 in 3, 1 in 5, just to subsidize a
Well,
bit
I
of the
reckon
losses.
they'll get like one, maybe two big IPs, and then only make like that'll be it. So they have a couple of big IPs under their belt that they make the odd film for here and there,
Yeah,
and then that's all they need.
yeah. But very interesting nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And a very, very interesting bit of news that just crept up as we were doing our last minute checks here.
Oh
Elseworlds.
yes.
So, under James Gunn's DCU,
Mm-hmm.
we've been told that anything that isn't DCU will be labelled as Elseworlds,
Yep.
which to the comic book knowers out there was kind of like Marvel's What If. A little bit different, but the
Mm.
same kind of idea. These are stories where we try off the wall stuff and it doesn't affect the main timeline, and we call it Elseworlds so that you just know this is a funny, goofy story that's not canon.
Yep.
It's a very eloquent design.
Yep.
Elseworlds hasn't been used as a sub brand for a while,
Mm.
but
Which
it's
is interesting.
returning from next year.
Mm.
So from 2024, Elseworlds will be returning to print, and they've announced 6 titles that will be coming next
Okay.
year. So we've got Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age,
Interesting.
Batman the Barbarian,
Oh.
Dark Knights of Steel All Winter, Green Lantern Dark,
Okay.
Batman Nightfire,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the one that's most interesting to me, DC versus Vampires World War V.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds cool.
Bearing in mind, like, our only actor right now for Batman is ex Twilight superstar
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson.
Imagine Matt Reeves' Batman ends up fighting
Imagine
vampires.
just like one of the evil vampires in that comic is like lightly modelled off Robert Pattinson.
I'm very interested by the fact, like, it didn't surprise me, but obviously because it's DC, but like a lot of those are Batman ones to start off with. Also, makes me think they're playing into this whole current situation with the films and what James Gunn's announced, because Matt Reeves' Batman is classed as Elseworlds.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, look, there's a reason why this
So
Batman's different.
I feel like a lot of the time with Elseworlds, it was your big characters. It
Okay.
was
Well, yeah.
Superman, Batman, and then a couple of others, just because Elseworlds were always a little bit more creative.
Hmm.
And when you're trying to sell people on a far and away concept, it
Yeah,
needs to
you
be a
need.
character
Well,
they
yeah.
love. So the characters that sell the best are going to have the best chance of doing okay as an Elseworlds story.
Yeah.
But also on the flip side, like, people have such strict ideas. I mean, just look at Twitter over what Superman and Batman are, that
Yeah.
if you want to stray away from that even a little bit, you've
Mhm.
got to spin up a whole other fucking universe to try that idea
Yeah.
out.
I like
Um,
that they're bringing it back though and giving the writers and stuff a bit of like, oh, you had this wacky idea. Let's start making some of these. It's giving you a
let's
place to post them, sort of thing.
yeah, let's have some fun and let creative people be creative and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a method I personally believe is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Are you ready for the thing that always makes us sad every single week?